A loyal viewer named Tamara asked, do you have a video about citations? I get my sources from FamilySearch and I want to put them on my tree on Ancestry. I have used a web link as a source. Is there a better way to do this? Howdy, welcome to Family History Fanatics. If you're new here, my name is Devin Noelle and I love helping people find meaning and connections through their family trees. And one way to do that is to have an organized family tree on Ancestry. Experienced genealogists know the importance of citing their sources. However, if you're building your family tree on Ancestry, Tamara's asking, how do you add source citations that reference other websites? There are several ways you can track citations for things that aren't in Ancestry's record collection databases. Let's go through a few options one by one. Tamara mentioned web links. For those who don't know about these, discover how easy they are to add to a person's profile on Ancestry. You can click on Add Link at the bottom of a fact column, or in the Sources column, on the Facts tab, click on Add. In a drop-down menu, click on Add Web Link. Paste a URL into the first field. Then give the link a name, such as An Illustrated History of Southern California. Click Add. Make sure you're only inserting links to online records that do not already appear on Ancestry. Otherwise, you're just cluttering your profiles, and you should know from previous videos that I like to reduce redundancy and unnecessary data. Now, if you click on this web link, it will take you to that source that you provided the link for. As you can see, web links appear pretty self-explanatory. They are links to websites, but notice while it's a hyperlinked URL, you cannot associate it with any of the facts on your timeline. Additionally, you cannot add any other details other than just the URL and the name. Some people have used this feature to save sources from elsewhere on the internet. Others use this to link to blog posts or websites that talk about the person or relevant historical context. Still, others use this as a way to bookmark resources to refer to later. Since the viewer wants to know if there's a better way to manage citations from other locations, including FamilySearch, but likely not limited to that one, I will recommend not using web links for citations. First, let's make sure we're all using the same terms. A genealogy source is a document, article, book, individual, or other artifact that provides information about a person, place, or relationship. Not every source is found on Ancestry. So to keep track of the sources you use to build your family tree, you will want to attach non-Ancestry sources. Now, while the viewer wanted to know about FamilySearch links, I'm actually going to attach a link from the Internet Archive just to push you towards utilizing other websites that don't necessarily have genealogy sources on them. So to add this source to this profile, what we need to do is to come to the person profile page that we want to attach the link to. So this is John Colvin Newton. From the relatives profile page, we're going to make sure that we're on the Facts tab. In the source column, once again, we're going to click on Add, and then we're going to click Add Source. On the Create Source Citation page, notice that the first option is, where does this information or evidence come from? And it has a drop-down menu. If you open that, you'll see all the sources you've used for this tree. This list will differ from tree to tree. Notice when I access my New Mexico family project, it's different. There are New Mexico sources that the California tree didn't have. This is not what we want if we bring citations over from another website or offline source. Instead, please click on the words Create a New Source. You can proceed to craft a new source using this template. A title for your source is required. Ancestry recommends that you use the full name of the book, source, record, census index, etc. For this entry, we're going to use An Illustrated History of South Carolina. And I'm just going to copy and paste this over into my Ancestry template. Next, notice the author field. Ancestry says this can be a person, persons, or an organization. Not every field applies to the sources you are creating citation for. It's okay to leave something blank. In this case, the illustrated history book does not have an author. Instead, it has a publisher, the Lewis Publishing Company. I'll skip this field and add that later. Right here, in fact. Publishers include printing companies, universities, or other organizations that produce books. Again, not all sources have publishers. If you have a publisher, please proceed to add the location and the date to the appropriate field. Finish filling out the remaining fields. You can save your work at any time and come back to edit it by clicking on Save. And now you see the title that you created. But let's see, you need to add the repository. We're going to go ahead and edit this source and come down to select repository. A repository is a location where the source was found. This can be a library, archive, website, or even a person. Unfortunately, I don't have the repository of the Internet Archive here, so what I need to do is click Create a New Repository link. This form, again, is pretty self-explanatory, except when you have an online location. That the only thing I can add right now is that it's the Internet Archive. I could go to the Internet Archive and try to find its About page to find the other relevant details here. But for now, I'm going to click down to Save Repository and call it good. So I have the title, the published information, the repository, click Save the Source. And now we're back at the Create Source Citation Information form. Now you have a master source that you can use for anyone in your family tree that also appears in this reference. Next, you'll complete this form for the specific entry within the source that you found. Before we continue, if I've given you value during this video, please click the like button, share this video with others, and leave a comment. As Ancestry suggests, the citation details in section 2 of this form answers the question, what are the specifics of the information or evidence provided by this source? In other words, if your source is a book, a citation references a specific entry and page number within the book. First, we should add the details. Perhaps we have a newspaper article. You'll insert the newspaper article title here. For birth certificates, you'll name the specific person within a birth record collection that you're consulting. In this case, I'm accessing a biographical sketch for Luther Titus on page 76 to 78 and the reference number that is on this item. So I can add that information, the biographical sketch, page 766 to 768. The remaining fields are also optional for your use. In my case, adding a second publication date seems redundant, so I'll skip that. I could add a transcription of text here. Ancestry allows for cutting and pasting of text. If I don't do a full transcription, I can also do abstracting information as well. Finally, I can add a specific URL reference. So I can copy it from the URL bar and then place it here. Genealogy sources often provide information about specific events and biographical details. If your source relates to any of these options you've already added to the profile, you can select the relevant facts in section 3. In this case, I have the birth. It pertains to Hulda, the wife's name actually, the year of marriage, as well as some residence information. Then I can go ahead and click Submit. If you haven't added an event or fact mentioned in your source, you can save that entry like I just did, then go and add one of the facts to the profile. Once you have saved that fact, you can then click the Edit field and then attach the sources to the fact or the event. No matter what non-Ancestry source you have discovered, you can add those citations to Ancestry in the fashion that I just showed you. However, since the viewer asked about taking sources from FamilySearch to Ancestry, there might be an easier way. If you're a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and you have a member's account on Ancestry, you'll notice these FamilySearch icons on your profile. If you click on that, you have to sign in. Once you're signed in, you can compare persons on FamilySearch. Then scroll down to the sources section and you can click and migrate those sources from FamilySearch over. I have mentioned how to do that full process in a previous video. Otherwise, leverage genealogy software such as Roots Magic to transfer your citations from FamilySearch to Ancestry. I have mentioned how to migrate data from one site to the other in this video. So there you have it. That's how you add non-Ancestry citations to the Ancestry family tree. If you have other questions on how to use Ancestry.com, be sure to put them in the comment section or send them to me through the Family History Fanatics contact form on our website. Like this video and leave a comment. Your feedback is important to keep Family History Fanatics on YouTube. Now, check out these videos to help you use Ancestry.com to the fullest. A lawyer